YouTube family, and welcome to the channel. Today is going to be something a little bit different to start the new year off. This is not the typical brand that you would see me driving. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about a 2003 Lexus IS300 Sport Design with a 5-speed manual transmission. Now this is something rather unique for the channel. I don't usually deviate too far from Honda and Acura things, but I thought this was kind of a unique car and a special way to talk about a brand that I'm not really familiar with. If you followed my channel for any length of time, you probably saw my recent video where I talked about a race event last October called No Fly Zone, where my younger brother took a 1,000 horsepower 2002 Lexus IS300, heavily modified of course, down a half-mile drag strip and hit over 175 miles an hour over the course of a half mile. That's pretty impressive, and I was intrigued when he did that. I've always kind of liked the design of the IS300 first generation, and so the opportunity presented itself to acquire one here, just to have fun with it. And I'm gonna see where this thing ends up. The idea here is to drive it, enjoy it, and pass it along. It will likely stay in the family, but that is not 100% certain yet. So for right now, I'm just going to put a few miles on it and enjoy driving this Sport Design around. So obviously the most important part of this car is not even seen in this picture. It's under the hood. This first generation Lexus IS300 came out in 2001, and it was powered by the famous Toyota 2JZ GE inline-6 power plant that was rated at 215 horsepower and 218 pound-feet of torque. This car, unlike my brother's, is a completely bone stock example, and I feel like it maybe needs to stay that way just because it is such a super rare configuration for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is a 2003 Sport Design, and with the Sport Design package, there are a few subtle cosmetic upgrades as well as some touches inside the car that didn't make it to the mainstream IS300. You notice the badging treatment, the rear exhaust tip there is Sport Design specific. The wheels are a unique design. It has perforated leather on the interior, embroidered floor mats. Not to mention this color. It's called Thundercloud Metallic, and it was optioned only on the Sport Design package. So you can see, I'll zoom in on the little badge here. And so if you ever see a Lexus IS300 in this configuration, you know that it's a Sport Design. So just with all that, it's a super cool car. Only 118,000 miles, but then the best part of it is it is a 3-pedal car. So believe it or not, Lexus did offer a manual transmission on this generation from 2001 to 2005. Now, the Lexus enthusiasts in the audience will probably help me on this, but I do believe the stick didn't come out until 1 year into the model run, so 2002. And it is a 5-speed manual, not a 6. And the other option was a 5-speed automatic. One thing that's kind of cool to me anyway is that no matter which transmission you got, the shifter was a really cool polished metal cue ball looking thing. I think many people agree with me when I say this is probably one of the most attractive and timeless gauge clusters of any car in the modern era. It has this chronograph sort of vibe to it. I'll start the car up here. By the way, it sounds like every other Toyota starter I've ever heard. Yeah, some cool little inset readouts there for your voltage, coolant temperature, and instantaneous miles per gallon. Obviously that's dipped all the way to 0. Kind of a funny sidebar, when my brother raced his Lexus in October, the speedometer was obviously maxed way beyond the 160 or pegged out there because he was doing 15 miles an hour faster than that. Now I'm sure there are plenty other more detailed YouTube videos than mine if you want to learn more about this car, but I'm gonna have some fun with it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. One of the funny things I did was I put the same plate combination that my brother has in Utah in Arizona. So now we effectively have 2 of the 50 states with the plate 2J, obviously a nod to that famous power plant under the hood. Here's your SportDesign specific piping. You can get a look at the perforated leather seats. The standard IS came with, I believe it was an Alcantara or suede insert here. And this is just full leather in this case. SportDesign floor mats. And the feature that everybody loves to talk about, the early IS300s are famous for what they call a sticky dash condition, where you can kind of see here some blemishes showing up. That's because this material, whatever they painted this with in the early 2000s, was subject to wear over time. And a lot of people have solutions for that. I think my brother ended up painting this entire section as well as the sides of the console in a body color metallic paint. So maybe this car would look good with something like that. Now the cool thing about this car, besides having only 118,000 miles, and now remember it's a 21-year-old car even though it doesn't look it, is it came with a ton of records. This car was dealership serviced, originated in California. In fact, here's a copy laminated of the original window sticker. So this had an original purchase price of $32,293, including destination, and it's a little bit blurry here in the font, but you can see the SportDesign options there. Those 11-spoke wheels, full leather interior, open touch, one-touch open close moonroof, home link, and some cosmetic treatment. This car also had, look at that, a $390 optional on the top line there, limited slip differential. And I'm not going to go into detail on all this, but to be honest with you, speaking of that limited slip, the driving experience on this thing is actually better than I would have expected. So we all love Honda's sort of characteristically perfect manual transmissions. This one is actually not bad. And a little bit of research that I did earlier on this was that this transmission was actually derived from or modified to fit from Toyota pickups. So I don't know if there's any truth to that. Maybe somebody can correct me, but Lexus has historically not been known for building very many manuals. I think those of you who have been around as long as I have will remember the early first generation SC300 coupe could be outfitted with a stick shift. Also, even later generation IS300s up until some more recent generations have had available manual transmissions. Now, obviously, much like in the Honda world, the take rate is very, very low. I did see some numbers that some enthusiast forums had put together on this car, and I believe it to be 10% or fewer option with that third pedal. So today they're exceedingly rare, and this car has a cool story to tell. Quick shout out to my friend Luke in Chicago who facilitated the deal. He was only the owner of the car for about a year or a year and a half. Its original owner kept the car for about 20 years in Southern California and did all the dealer maintenance at Stevens Creek Lexus and other Lexus dealers in that area. So when I said I had records, I wasn't kidding. This was literally over a 50-page printout, front and back, of all the technician notes from the Lexus dealership in California. This was a cool brochure that I found specifically to the SportDesign. Lexus didn't have a lot of literature dedicated to that specific trim level. In fact, if you look at the 2003 brochure, which is here, the SportDesign wasn't even mentioned in there. And so that's perhaps why Lexus had to go ahead and publish a second smaller document to promote that vehicle. But really cool to thumb through this. Some of these early IS300s had a navigation system that was kind of innovative for its time, because it was actually a retractable little screen that would pop up from the center of the dash there when you needed to activate it. I also did build a little bit of a document library on this car. There was a really cool multi-car test here for $30,000 sedans. The IS300, I want to say, came in fourth place, and against some really hot contenders for its time. I don't know if I'll be able to find it here real quick. Actually, I think I'm pretty close. But you know, it it's interesting to look back at the history, what was going on 20 years ago. There it is. I want to say out of like these 13 or so cars that were in the test, 8 of them had stick shift transmission. So even their test car here at Road and Track was a manual. So it kind of shows you the evolution of the automotive industry as we know it. And, you know, for those of us who are manual enthusiast drivers, performance oriented people, that is a sad day when all those manual transmissions go away. But for right now, this car has a lot of life left to live. I'm going to enjoy putting a few miles on it over the next few months, and I'll definitely take you along for the ride. I think that's going to about do it for my quick little tour here. I hope you enjoyed it. One of the best things about this car I neglected to mention is that it is rear wheel drive. So it's a whole different dynamic. I noticed parking it for pictures and video this morning, the turning radius is phenomenal. And one thing to note too, even though that 2JZ GE engine is known in this car, you'll remember its more powerful brother, the 2JZ GTE, which was a twin turbocharged variant that appeared in the Mark IV Toyota Supra. And that's part of why you'll see on my brother's YouTube channel and his Instagram that he calls his IS300 a 4-door Supra, because he took the liberty of modifying it in such a way that it will probably blow the doors off a lot of Supras, to be honest.